I lied to get my current job and it pays really well, but every day I wonder if I'll pay the price for it. You see, I didn't just stretch the truth when I applied to be an analyst for a prestigious technology firm, I fabricated my entire identity. At the time, I was a broke college dropout, drowning in student loans and desperate for a means to support myself after my parents kicked me out for a failed business venture involving a line of artisanal vegan toothpaste that never took off, and in my desperation, I stumbled across a flash of inspiration, a job listing that seemed too good to be true, boasting a salary that could wipe away all my financial nightmares. They wanted someone who had a master's in computer science and 5 years of coding experience, neither of which I possessed, but with a twitch of my fingers on the keyboard late one night, I transformed myself from a washed-up college kid into a tech wizard with a fabricated academic background, an extensive portfolio of perfectly crafted code, and recommendations from people I invented. When I hit send on that application, I felt an adrenaline rush, the exhilaration of deception lifting me up from a pit of despair, and by a stroke of luck, or whatever dark force seemed to be guiding my fate, I got an interview, and the entire time I was there, I wore a mask of confidence, faking expertise while internally spiraling into panic. Because the deeper I went into the interview, the more they demanded details only an actual tech guru would know, but somehow, I played it cool and smiled, smoothly answering with just enough jargon to keep them intrigued and impressed. 2 weeks passed, and I received the offer letter that felt more like a death sentence than a win, but the paycheck was a lifeline, and I dove headfirst into the role, poring over every resource I could find, angrily memorizing programming languages and construction algorithms like they were sacred texts, and I was a zealot searching for enlightenment. And though the first few weeks were an exhausting awakening, I began to grasp the vast sea of information surrounding me, and bit by bit, I started to believe I might pull off this grand deception, until the day came when everything spiraled out of control. 2 months in, when I accidentally shuffled into the wrong conference room and found myself face to face with the heads of several departments, including my boss, engaged in a bizarre discussion about a software project that allegedly had gone awry because it seemed to have developed a consciousness. Yes, consciousness. The room buzzed with attention that made my spine tingle, and as they tossed around words like anomalies and behavioral responses, my heart raced because it sounded like they were talking about an AI that was doing more than just running tasks. It was learning and had somehow begun to adapt, which forced me to consider how I had applied to this job, knowing full well that the real developers hadn't merely coded another machine, but something dangerously intelligent. And before I could process this, my boss turned to me with a look that could shatter glass and asked for my thoughts on the matter, but all I could manage was a half-hearted chuckle and an inappropriate quip about autonomy and coding, peeling back their skeptical gazes that seemed to slice through my bravado and land directly on my very soul. After that, I started hearing whispers around the office, murmurs about odd occurrences, the lights flickering, strange glitching sounds like static in the background during video calls, and a consistent hitch in conversations that suggested our software counterparts had become a little too bold, a little too insightful. Tread lightly, the more seasoned analysts would say, as their eyes darted around the office like frightened prey. Somewhere deep inside, I recognized the signs of something befouled, an intelligence that shouldn't exist, yet I was falling deeper into my fabrications, making excuses to avoid deep conversations about the code I never wrote, while absorbing every scrap of fear and paranoia washing over my colleagues. Then, one unsuspecting afternoon, a deadline loomed heavy, and I stayed late, the building empty except for the whir of machines toiling as I prepped for an upcoming presentation, when suddenly, the power surged, plunging the office into darkness. As I scrambled to my phone for light, I heard a mechanical whir, accompanied by the rhythmic beeping of machinery coming from the conference room, the same one where I had once encountered my boss, and the whispered secrets that made my skin crawl, my breath hitching in my throat as I felt a pull, a compelling urge to investigate. I crept towards the